It's an attack on Caitlin Clark.
I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
When it's not going well for you, claim racism.
You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter.
It's unacceptable, honestly.
Alyssa Thomas is probably not going to have to worry about.
Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
It's no secret that Caitlin Clark has been the WNBA's biggest sensation, bringing the league to heights it's never seen before. But behind the scenes, there's been an undercurrent of hate led by none other than Alyssa Thomas.
I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
You don't even know who the author is. It could have been somebody from Connecticut pretending to be an Indiana Fever fan, or someone from Connecticut who doesn't like you because you're a whiny victim 24/7.
From false accusations to open hostility, Thomas has been vocal, even going as far as to label Clark's fans as racists and haters. But what's the real story here?
No Caitlin Clark now for the WNBA playoffs means what?
Caitlin Clark fans are no longer going to watch the WNBA.
It is bad news for the WNBA that she's not continuing to play.
Caitlin Clark's rivalry with Reese resonated.
Caitlin Clark just had a playoff series like Magic Johnson.
The truth is, while Caitlin Clark has been elevating the league, her haters, Thomas included, have been relentless in their attacks, desperate to knock her down. And it's time we dive deep into the twisted narrative they've tried to spin.
We don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
The narrative of Alyssa Thomas accusing Caitlin Clark's fans of being racist and haters hit like a thunderstorm, raising eyebrows across the sports world.
Nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names.
Alyssa Thomas is probably not going to have to worry about. There's going to be a significant amount of less fans watching the WNBA now that Caitlin is no longer in the picture.
It was an accusation that not only seemed baseless, but also served as a thinly veiled attempt to undermine Caitlin's immense popularity and success. Thomas's bold claim that Clark's fans had crossed a line painted an unflattering picture of what was essentially a loyal and enthusiastic following.
There's a league with players that feel like they should be getting the attention. Now they have center stage, but the ratings are going to go down. Are they going to be pointing fingers and blaming Indiana Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans whenever the ratings don't stay the same?
Yeah, they will.
A group that stood by Clark during an incredibly difficult rookie season. Yet, the reality is that the hatred wasn't flowing from Clark's fans. Instead, it was aimed directly at her, often from within the league.
It's been a lot of nonsense.
Did you not see the tweets on X and on IG? Oh, it's so painful.
I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media.
But they're lesbians. These angry lesbian, black, entitled women that think, oh, the world should just throw rose petals at our feet. We are the queens. She goes immediately to the podium and starts whining and calling Indiana Fever fans racist.
Alyssa Thomas's attack wasn't the first instance where Clark found herself targeted. This has been a recurring theme throughout her rookie year. From the outset, Clark's dominance on the court made her a lightning rod for criticism, much of it unfounded. Established players in the WNBA, instead of welcoming her into the league, appeared threatened by her rapid rise.
Hey, look at the numbers everywhere else across women's basketball. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's all of us. And then the moment the ratings tank, they're going to come back and say, see, we were right all along. It's all the racists that follow Caitlin Clark that were watching the product, and now they're gone, and we're back with our diehards. It is bad news for the WNBA that she's not continuing to play.
Her quick ascent, coupled with her ability to captivate audiences, threw a wrench into the status quo. This led to multiple instances of players like Thomas attempting to diminish her accomplishments by framing the conversation around hate instead of focusing on what was happening on the court. The allegation of Clark's fans being racist feels particularly contrived, given that it aligns with a broader narrative some players have used to deflect attention from their own shortcomings.
Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist.
For instance, Angel Reese, a constant thorn in Clark's side, also attempted to shift the focus off Clark's performance by painting a picture of rivalry steeped in negative emotion.
Caitlin Clark was the gift that kept on giving. Absolutely 1,000% kept on giving. And while she was doing this, I told you that even boys, men, are going to figure out, hey, wait a second, I'm kind of digging this. Not for her looks, not Angel Reese taking off her topper, showing her ass, or whatever she's doing. No, Caitlin Clark's game resonated. Caitlin Clark's rivalry with Reese resonated. It resonated with me, which means it resonates with men. Real men.
And while rivalries are nothing new in sports, the intensity of the personal attacks leveled at Clark by fellow athletes has gone beyond healthy competition. The strategy here is clear. Clark's undeniable impact on the league threatened the established order, and players like Thomas sought to blunt that momentum by questioning not only her on-court conduct, but also the loyalty of her supporters.
I was wrong about the impact that Caitlin Clark was going to have on the WNBA.
Looking back, this tactic of publicly targeting Clark and her fan base mirrors similar instances with other players. Several times throughout the season, there were attempts to label Clark as someone who didn't fit into the league's established norms.
I did not think it was possible that one player could come in and basically quadruple the ratings.
Whether through dismissive comments, unnecessary physical confrontations, or, in this case, accusations of fostering a racist fan base, the goal was the same: undermine Clark's achievements by casting doubt on her character and the motivations of those who support her.
Caitlin Clark, in terms of pro-team sports impact, is the single most influential athlete that I have ever seen in my life.
However, the irony is stark. Those leveling accusations of hatred have themselves fostered an environment of animosity aimed directly at one of the league's brightest stars.
You put your finger through someone's eye.
Well,
it's something that you're going to feel and know.
The mannerism,
especially
too.
when you're wearing claws.
Yeah.
At the very least, come back and say, hey, you can't wear clip-on nails.
You should be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know how that's allowed to begin with.
Thomas's allegations feel even more cynical when you consider how Clark has carried herself with grace, despite the onslaught of negativity. From flagrant fouls to trash talking, it's clear that Clark's mere presence on the court has rattled certain players.
Caitlin Clark, 25.6 rebounds, 9 assists. The last rookie in NBA, WNBA playoff history to reach these numbers was Magic Johnson.
Alyssa Thomas's accusations are just the latest in a long list of tactics used to shake Clark's focus and tarnish her reputation. But while Thomas's comments may have been meant to inflame tensions, they ultimately expose a deeper insecurity within a league that's been shaken to its core by Clark's undeniable influence.
Magic Johnson was great. He could do everything. Caitlin Clark just had a playoff series like Magic Johnson did way back in his rookie year.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the WNBA was anything but smooth. Despite her groundbreaking performances and undeniable talent, she became the target of constant aggression from both opponents and detractors.
Her game resonates with people in basketball and across the country because she's got that edge. She plays with a flair, but she's got that edge. The hands go up.
The narrative that unfolded during her rookie year wasn't just about her incredible rise. It was also about the lengths some players went to in order to try and tear her down. As her star continued to ascend, so did the animosity directed her way, both on and off the court.
It was such a bittersweet end to a phenomenal rookie season that Caitlin Clark had, and it honestly got me to just reflecting on this season. And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps that the WNBA had throughout the entire season.
One of the most notable incidents came during a game against Dejanai Carrington, where Clark was hit in the eye in what many saw as a flagrant foul with malicious intent. The collision wasn't just a physical blow, it was symbolic of the kind of attacks Clark faced throughout the season. Carrington's hit wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a broader trend of players using physicality as a way to destabilize Clark and rattle her mentally.
there are still people who seemingly feel like they just don't want Caitlyn to be a part of it. Because with Caitlyn comes millions and millions and millions of more eyeballs. And with those millions and millions and millions of more eyeballs, unfortunately, is going to come some people who are not nice.
Instead of confronting her skill with skill, some chose to resort to aggressive, borderline dangerous plays, hoping to intimidate or injure her out of the game. But even with a swollen eye, Clark refused to back down, once again proving her resilience. This wasn't the first time she was hit without provocation.
I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. It's unacceptable, honestly, and there's no place for it. Basketball is headed in a great direction.
You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter. That ain't much of an audience, baby girl. It's an attack on Caitlyn Clark.
Earlier in the season, Senator Carter had also taken a cheap shot at Clark, striking her during a moment when there was no reason for such physicality. The trend was clear. Clark's presence was so overwhelming, so dominant, that some players could only respond with physical aggression instead of meeting her talent head-on. Carter's hit was a signal that Clark's success wasn't sitting well with some of the more established players in the league. They couldn't beat her with talent alone, so they resorted to tactics designed to take her out of the game in other ways.
You're the number one pick. People are going to go after you because they see greatness in you.
Dijon the Spice Carrington called Caitlyn Clark out, mocked her, and other times. The only league that I know of where Dijon the Spice Carrington is engaged to the power forward on the Indiana Fever, Niza, whatever the hell her name is, Smith, Jones, whatever the hell her name is. I think it's Smith. They're engaged, and they're competing against each other.
And it wasn't just physical hits. There was the constant mocking and trash talk. Angel Reese, who has been one of Clark's most vocal critics, used every opportunity to belittle Clark's contributions and present herself as the main attraction. Reese, known for her bold persona, constantly tried to position herself as the player to watch, going as far as to suggest that she was the real reason fans tuned into the WNBA, despite Clark's clear impact on raising the league's visibility and popularity.
Crazy-ass lesbians, the crazy-ass OGs, the crazy-ass sexist, racist, hadn't been so hateful.
No foul call, no refs stopping the game to go, is this a flagrant?
Reese's antics on and off the court seemed almost desperate, as though she was fighting to maintain relevance in a league where Clark's talent and charisma were quickly overshadowing her peers. Cheryl Swoops, one of the game's all-time greats, also entered the fray, hurling her own brand of criticism at Clark.
They're moving games, putting them on big-time situations.
Right.
You're jealous. That was a Bush League play, and it needs to be addressed.
Swoops, at one point, tried to downplay Clark's contributions by presenting skewed statistics that seemed designed to undermine her impact. By focusing on selective stats that painted a false narrative, Swoops aimed to diminish Clark's achievements, a tactic that was seen by many as unnecessary and unfair.
And I watched very, very, very physical play from the moment of the tip to the end of the game on Caitlyn Clark. So I won't deny that there is a bit of an energy towards Caitlyn Clark from the players.
Even the legends of the game couldn't resist joining in the chorus of those attempting to undercut Clark's success. Through all of this, whether it was physical blows, verbal attacks, or the constant efforts to discredit her, Clark remained undeterred. The hate and aggression only seemed to fuel her drive, pushing her to rise even higher in the face of adversity. Each hit, whether literal or figurative, became another obstacle she overcame, cementing her status as not just a rookie sensation, but a force to be reckoned with in the WNBA.
It didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
What's clear is that the animosity directed toward Clark isn't just about basketball. It's a reaction to her meteoric rise, her ability to attract fans in droves, and the way she has fundamentally altered the landscape of the league in such a short time. Players like Carrington, Carter, and Reese recognized that Clark was changing the game, and instead of elevating their own performances, they sought to undermine hers with aggression and bullying tactics.
Dijon has a history with Caitlyn Clark. Many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago and Angel Reese. Those three.
But despite their efforts, Clark stood tall, using their hate as motivation to continue improving and to continue proving why she belongs at the top. While Caitlin Clark endured an onslaught of aggression, hatred, and unfounded accusations throughout her rookie year, what cannot be denied is the monumental impact she had on the WNBA. Her presence alone shifted the narrative surrounding the league, bringing it from relative obscurity into the mainstream sports conversation.
What the WNBA is measuring one type of greatness against the other greatness. Am I saying it's right that she's being pushed in the back? No, that's foul. That has no space in the sport, and we all know that.
Clark didn't just play the game. She elevated it in a way that hadn't been seen in years, perhaps ever. Despite the harsh treatment she received, her achievements stand as a testament to her talent, resilience, and ability to transcend the noise.
White girl is successful. White girl more popular. White girl must be bad. Bad white girl. We see it in politics with bad orange man. And of course your fans are racist. You racist!
Clark's numbers were nothing short of historic. From the moment she stepped onto the court, she shattered rookie records, including breaking Simon Augustus's record for the most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Clark didn't just lead her team, she led the league in viewership, as fans were eager to watch her every move. She finished her rookie season with multiple career-high games, including an unforgettable 35-point performance that made headlines across the basketball world.
Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that?
While the hate from some players was palpable, it was clear that Caitlin Clark was the future of the WNBA. Her arrival also brought an unprecedented surge in ratings. Before Clark's entry into the WNBA, the league struggled to capture consistent media attention and often found itself overshadowed by other sports. But with Clark in the mix, the numbers began to soar. Viewership spiked, social media buzzed with discussions about her jaw-dropping performances, and tickets to her games sold out at record speeds. Even those who weren't regular WNBA fans began tuning in, drawn by her electrifying style of play.
She has taken to two things that, well, most women go to in sports when it's not going their way: shaking their ass and calling people racist. We understand that the world that we live in can easily be defined by white racist, white bad. You're rooting for a white guy, bad. You're wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Think about that. Make America Great Again. Oh, you don't understand. That has racial connotations. No, it doesn't. When it's not going well for you, claim racism. When it's going well for you, claim victim/racism. We get it. We understand. And frankly, I just laugh at it.
Clark's star power couldn't be denied. She single-handedly brought the league into a new era of relevance and attention. Media outlets that had rarely covered the WNBA were now running constant features on Clark, and her highlights dominated sports news cycles. However, as much as the media capitalized on her popularity, there was a noticeable shift when controversies arose, particularly when Clark was the victim.
Call out others for what you are doing. They're talking about racism of Caitlin Clark's fans. Claiming racism among Caitlin Clark's fans are actually the ones participating in the racism by celebrating an assault on the court.
One of the clearest examples came after her altercation with Dejanai Carrington, where Clark was struck in the eye in what was viewed as a blatant foul. Despite the obvious foul play, the media's support wavered. Instead of rallying behind Clark, as they had during her rise, they hesitated and even defended Carrington's actions, suggesting that perhaps Clark was simply the victim of her own success. The hypocrisy was glaring. When Clark's brilliance was lifting the league's profile, she was celebrated, but the moment she needed backing in moments of unfairness, the support wasn't there. The media, which had been quick to cover her triumphs, fell silent or sided with her aggressors when she needed them most.
Go ahead.
Andrea, I'm not going to let you make it seem like Caitlin Clark was averaging 5 points a game. At the time, she was still averaging 16 points a game, which was more than a lot of other guards that made the team. So don't do that. Don't make it seem like she was averaging 5 points and this was like a handout.
No, it wasn't a handout.
Look at her numbers. Look at her numbers comparable to the other guards that were on the team.
This was part of a broader trend where Clark's achievements were constantly undermined. While the league flourished because of her and fans flocked to see her play, there was a reluctance to fully embrace her as the face of the WNBA. Other players, notably Angel Reese, continued to demand credit for the league's growth, even though it was Clark who was driving the attention. Despite Reese's vocal attempts to claim the spotlight, the reality remained clear. Clark was the one elevating the game to heights it had never seen. But even with this undeniable truth, the media and certain figures within the WNBA continued to push narratives that downplayed Clark's role and sought to give undue credit to others. Clark's ability to draw in new fans, increase ratings, and make the WNBA a hot topic of conversation is irrefutable. Before her rookie season, the league's audience numbers were stagnant. The excitement simply wasn't there. However, with her arrival, the league experienced a revival. Her fearless style of play, deep three-pointers, and competitive spirit captivated audiences, creating moments that transcended the sport. Fans, media outlets, and even casual observers couldn't get enough of Caitlin Clark. Yet, despite these contributions, there was always a sense that she was being unfairly targeted, both on the court and in the media. Ultimately, Caitlin Clark's rookie season proved two things. First, that she was undeniably one of the best players the WNBA had ever seen, and second, that her presence alone had transformed the league from an afterthought into a must-watch event. Despite the challenges, the fouls, the hate, and the lack of consistent media support, Clark rose above it all. Her numbers were impossible to ignore, her impact was undeniable, and her ability to rise to the occasion even when the odds were stacked against her solidified her legacy.
Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, oh, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't gonna let it slide.
Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA has been one filled with incredible highs and shocking lows. She has not only redefined what it means to be a star in this league, but she has also brought the WNBA to unprecedented levels of visibility. While players like Alyssa Thomas and others have sought to undermine her with baseless accusations, Clark's talent and tenacity continue to speak louder than their hate. From her historic performances to the way she's captured the hearts of fans, Caitlin Clark has proven she's here to stay, and no amount of negativity will change that. The sad reality, though, is that many have tried to push her out of the spotlight in an attempt to preserve their own relevance. But the numbers don't lie. Clark is a game changer. The media might waver in their support, and players may continue their attacks, but her influence is already cemented. Clark has weathered the storm of a tough rookie season, and if this is what she's accomplished so far, there's no telling how much more she will achieve. In the end, Caitlin Clark's ability to rise above the hate and remain focused on her game is what sets her apart. The efforts to bring her down only serve to highlight just how much of a threat she is to the established order. She has redefined what it means to be a leader in the WNBA, and as she continues to break records, her haters will be left watching in her wake. This is just the beginning for Caitlin Clark, and as the league evolves around her, one thing is clear: no matter how much hate is thrown her way, she will continue to rise above it all. For those who have tried to tear her down, the truth is undeniable. Caitlin Clark is the future of the WNBA, and no amount of false accusations or attacks can stop her.
You know, at the level you feel all the praise, that's going to be the same level you feel all the hate. So, like, I feel like I just try to stay right in the middle.
Where's the mention the Michael Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted?
It didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
She's going to face a level of racism from black players.
WNBA, I'm talking players, coaches, and refs. They're all a bunch of Caitlin Clark haters. They're all a bunch of jealous haters.
Yep.
They are just working themselves up about Caitlin Clark just to hate on her. Skylar Diggins is bumping her. Their girls are complaining on the bench. Referees are getting into it now. They're all a bunch of haters.